It's amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where do these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
Jessica Pegula just took home the Dubai Tennis Championships, and she hadn't even left the building before things got interesting. Someone at the press conference decided to bring up Eala. And look, Jessica didn't pause, didn't hedge, didn't give you that rehearsed, say-nothing answer that athletes love to hide behind. What she said was real. It was genuine. And the moment it hit Filipino fans' ears, pure celebration. So here's the question worth asking. After everything Jessica Pegula said about Eala and the community that shows up for her every single match, do you think the rest of the WTA Tour is finally starting to get it? Starting to understand what the Filipino fan base actually means for women's tennis? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand.
I think it was Eala is the match that I was looking at, and there was people like wrapped around the stadium just trying to get in, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's cool to see and it's exciting, but obviously, for fan experience, I don't know, because I'm not living that same experience, but hopefully the event kind of continues to grow with the fans that we're getting and making that still an enjoyable experience for them. But I did see some of the courts have like lines getting in, and it seems really busy, and I saw some reports that it's some of their busiest they've ever been, and it's packed, and all that, which is, I think, great. I mean, obviously it shows that the event is growing, the sport is growing, and that's amazing, I think, for...
Let's discuss something important before we go any further, because context is everything here. Jessica Pegula isn't some outsider looking in on Eala's rise. She's not forming opinions from highlight reels or social media. She played her. Miami, 2025. She was the one standing across the net when Eala had just dismantled Jelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek back-to-back, announcing herself to the tennis world in a way nobody could dismiss. Pegula ended that run in the semifinals of a WTA 1000 event. So when she talks about Eala, she's speaking from experience. She knows exactly what it feels like to be on the other side of that court. And what she said in Dubai, right after winning the tournament final against Sabalenka, was not vague. It wasn't political. It was specific. It was detailed. And it was enthusiastic. She opened with, "Alex is amazing." Not, "She's been impressive lately." Not, "She's shown real promise." Amazing. Full stop. Then she talked about how Eala fills stadiums, how her country rallies behind her like nothing she's seen. She spoke about the maturity Eala carries, the grace under pressure, the media weight, the responsibility of representing an entire nation every single time she walks through a tunnel and onto a court. And then she got personal. She brought up Miami. She said she played Eala when she kind of broke out last year, and then she said something you almost never hear from a player describing a match they won. She said the whole crowd was against her. She said she was standing there thinking, what on earth is going on? Where did these people come from? Let that land for a second. Jessica Pegula, daughter of a billionaire NFL team owner, an American player, playing in Miami, her own country's tournament, and she felt like the visiting player, because Filipino fans had completely taken over that venue and turned it into a home court for someone ranked outside the top 100 that she won the match. And she's still talking about it more than a year later. That detail tells you everything, because Miami 2025 was before Eala was a household name outside the Filipino community. She wasn't a top 50 player. She wasn't seeded. And yet the crowd she generated was so overwhelming that the player who beat her walked away genuinely shaken by it. Not in a bad way, but I've never experienced anything like that kind of way. Dubai was more of the same. Pegula mentioned you could hear the crowd from the hotel, not from the courtside seats, not from the walkway near the courts, from the hotel. Players lying in their rooms at night, listening to fans chanting for the woman they'd be facing the next day. That is one of the most vivid, most telling descriptions of what the Eala effect actually sounds like in person. And then she zoomed out. She said she thinks it's awesome for what Eala is doing for tennis. She called her a perfect role model. Said she's sure Eala wants to inspire Filipino girls to pick up a racket and believe they can go after something big. And then she said it's awesome for the sport. And then said it again, twice, as if once wasn't enough to fully capture how much she meant it. Now, that "where did these people come from" comment, let's sit with that for a moment. Pegula wasn't being dismissive. The tone makes it clear she was genuinely stunned, almost admiringly bewildered. But that comment, unintentionally, exposes something the tennis establishment has been slow to reckon with. The Filipino fan base didn't materialize out of thin air. They were already living in Miami, in Los Angeles, in Melbourne, in Dubai. They've always been there, fully organized, fully capable of showing up in numbers. They were just waiting for a reason, and Eala gave them one. That this is not a manufactured fan base built on promotional campaigns and sponsored posts. This is an organic community that had been sitting dormant in the tennis world, waiting for a player to believe in. The infrastructure was there long before the results were. The results just activated it, and once activated, the scale of it has overwhelmed venues across 3 continents in under 12 months. Melbourne, the Australian Open, an event that sets attendance records almost annually, was not prepared for the crowd management situation around Eala's matches. Standing room only doesn't quite cover it. Dubai, every single match sold out. Tournament director Sulla Talik said he had never seen anything like it in his entire tenure running the event. A player ranked outside the top 30 producing something that decades of world number ones and Grand Slam champions had never managed there. Indian Wells, fans pressing through fences around practice courts before a single competitive ball had been struck. A former ATP professional raising safety concerns on broadcast. The largest tennis tournament in the United States, which set an all-time attendance record in 2025 without Eala even in the draw, now managing crowd situations around a player making her first seated appearance. Through all of it, Eala's response has been the same. Pegula noticed it directly. She said Eala handles it with maturity and grace, seems genuinely appreciative, and always has a good head on her shoulders. That observation matters more than it might seem. The weight of being 20 years old, carrying a nation's expectations, managing the visibility, the media obligations, the sheer noise of it all, that pressure has derailed players with far more experience. Eala's press conferences, her interviews, her online presence all reflect someone who is grateful for it rather than crushed by it. After Dubai, she went on social media just to personally thank the fans, not a PR-approved statement, just a genuine thank you for the time and energy they put into showing up. That kind of authenticity feeds the cycle. The fans feel seen, the connection deepens, and the crowds keep growing. Coco Gauff praised the Filipino fans after her Dubai match against Eala. Amanda Anisimova gave her take. And now Pegula, the player who was literally on the other side of the net at the exact moment this whole story began, has delivered what might be the most detailed, most personal, and most genuinely enthusiastic endorsement from any active player on tour. 3 American players, all independently, all saying the same thing. That's not a PR push. That's a pattern. These are competitors. They notice when a colleague walks onto a practice court and causes a safety concern. They notice when a hotel is audible from their room because the crowd outside is that loud. They notice when the atmosphere at a tournament feels different than it ever has before. And they're talking about it. The commercial side of this is starting to catch up too. Reports are emerging that major brands are circling Eala for significant sponsorship deals, trying to reach the Filipino market, the Southeast Asian diaspora, and a young, passionate, globally distributed fan base that has already proven it will travel, spend, and show up. For those brands, a player who is winning matches, climbing rankings, and producing this kind of cultural moment is an extraordinarily rare combination. And here's what makes this more than just a good season story. Eala is 20 years old. Her career-high ranking of 28 was achieved before Indian Wells, where she's entering seeded for the first time. The Miami Open follows. Miami, the city where Pegula stood on a court and genuinely wondered where all those people had come from. If Eala goes deep in both events, the ranking points push her into territory that reshapes everything: her seeding at Grand Slams, her draw placement, how deep into tournaments she gets before facing the very best players in the world. That structural advantage compounds in exactly the right direction for someone whose game has been developing fast enough that the results are already validating the attention. Pegula's words are the latest in a line of acknowledgments from the top of the sport that something genuinely unusual is happening here. But her words carry a specific gravity because she was there. She played the match that started this whole conversation. She felt what it was like to be on the wrong side of that crowd. She asked herself the question, and now she's answered it. Where did all those people come from? They were always there. Eala just gave them a reason to be visible.